What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. Strong, well-fed, outspoken. My name is Rusty, aka Coach Frizzle, aka the Miss Frizzle of Fitness. And today, actually, we have two people. You guys know, first and foremost, always my co-host and my girl.
I hope you know and love, but what's up, guys? I'm Coach Nell. No fun add-ons after that.
Because we need the time to introduce somebody else today.
It's true. It's true. So who do we have with us today?
Yes, we are really excited, you guys. This is, when we first started the podcast, we said we wanted to bring you guys guests, both from an education, just informational standpoint, but also just introduce you guys to other people in the industry because there are so many amazing stories, so many amazing coaches out there. So our very first guest, we're really excited to introduce you guys to Mark from Training Strong Women. What is going on, Mark? Thank you for joining
Welcome,
us.
Mark.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm always excited to be on a fellow Canadian podcast,
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
So
We were just talking before this. I didn't realize Mark was in Canada. So literally 3 for 3. And if you are watching this, we're literally all also in black.
Yes.
um,
Turns out, though, Mark is from my hometown. So if you're in the area and you're ever looking for someone, we got the hookups now.
yeah, honestly, this is really cool. This is very ironic. But yes, Mark, thank you so much for coming on with us here today. We would love, first of all, before we kind of start diving in, for everybody to get to know you a little bit more. Kind of give us, I'm not going to literally time you when I say 60 seconds. Take as long as you want, but tell us a little bit more about you. It doesn't necessarily have to be as you as a coach, but just tell us a little bit more about you, your love for fitness, like who you are.
yeah, okay. About 60 seconds. Let's
No,
do
no,
this.
no.
So I
You can
think the
definitely go
short
longer.
We are
answer,
known for talking too
Yes,
much.
yes. No, by all means, feel free to
I will
just
try and be, I'll try and be concise. So I would say the short answer is I would be like a weight neutral strength coach,
Mhm.
which for people who don't know that world, my version of training is instead of focusing on weight loss or aesthetics,
Mhm.
I don't focus on them at all. So there's no weigh-ins, there's no before and after photos, there's no body measurements, things like that.
Mhm.
I just focus on making people stronger in and out of the gym.
Mhm.
And so that can be lifting a heavy weight because that makes them feel badass.
Mhm.
That can also be being able to carry all your groceries at once or being able to pick up your kids with ease. But the goal instead of what training might make you look like is now 100% focused on let's make you stronger, healthier, more confident in the lifting process.
Cool.
And so there's definitely a lot of similarities, I think, with your coaching as well. But the big differences is that like we don't talk about appearance really in any capacity at any point.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's my 60 seconds of what my coach is.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing that for?
Yeah.
Definitely not at first. So I've been training. I don't think anyone starts weight neutral, to be honest. I feel like a lot of people start off as weight loss coaches and then kind of find this space later.
Yeah.
I would say I've been weight neutral for 4 or 5 years now
Mhm.
at this point. And it was kind of a slow process where I definitely started off as a weight loss coach, all for appearance, and then kind of got more into strength for myself,
Mhm.
originally for powerlifting. And then over time, kind of became less and less about that and more weight neutral over time, which I can talk about how I got there because that was definitely not like a one day I just changed my mind. Like it was definitely a process
Mhm.
over years for sure.
For sure. So,
Yeah.
you know what I would actually love to hear then? And I would love to hear before you actually became a coach, what made you fall in love with fitness? You kind of touched on it right there. You said you did some powerlifting before. So tell us a little bit like about Mark before he was Mark from training strong women, excuse me.
Yeah, I can give you guys the origin story. So I was 17 and it starts sad, but it gets better. I was 17 and my high school girlfriend of 2 years broke up with me. I was very, very
Aw.
sad. And as a 17-year-old, the solution was, in my mind, bigger biceps equal to better life. And I just
Right.
had to have like the right look. Originally for very like, I would say more superficial reasons to be more attractive to women and maybe find another partner again, or to like look more manly or whatever it was 17-year-old Mark thought was a priority.
For sure.
And did that for 5-ish years, 6 years, actually made pretty good progress, but didn't make me happy in the way that I expected it would, just kind of ended up comparing myself to new people, or was always often like never enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that was truly my fitness journey started from a place of what I don't have and feeling bad about it. That was first 5-6 years for sure. Found powerlifting originally, and originally I was still focused on both. But what I noticed about powerlifting is that I was building confidence, not because of how my body was changing, but because of like, I can do these cool things now.
Yeah,
like I can
Capacity
lift.
you were able to have.
Yeah, exactly. Like now I can, at the time, like start squatting the 300s, deadlifting and the 400s. And I was like, oh, wow, this is like really cool stuff, like things I couldn't do before.
for sure.
And confidence built up way more than when I was just focused on, do I have an athletic look to me? Am I still scrawny? Do people think I look like I lift? Like, it was a lot more about what other people thought too.
Yep.
And the nice thing about strength for me was, it was like, oh, I'm impressing myself for myself. Like, it's not other people telling me that I'm amazing. It's like, I'm shocked at the things I can do in a really cool way.
Totally.
And that was kind of the start for me. Originally, I was kind of a mix of both. And then over time, the focus on changing my body just never really became a priority. And it became less and less of a thing. Stopped doing things like weigh-ins, or wondering if like, did I look athletic to other people? And it's been great. Like, I would say like it started from a pretty superficial, low self-esteem place, but now it's like, I love training for what it is. I go in the gym. I don't worry if I have the right look, or if there's other people in the gym that like look more jacked than me, or whether, now it's all about, here's these cool things my body can do and will continue to do in the future. So that was kind of how I got here.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's similar in that both Rusty and myself lost weight and came into fitness kind of through that. But similar in that we started out in this like trying to change an aesthetic and change a look, and then moved into that like that joy of fitness and that joy of seeing what your body is capable of doing.
Yeah, I was going to say, was that last line really? I always think that is so empowering. The literal confidence, the amazement that you can get in your body, and kind of defying, because I think somewhere inside we all kind of carry this belief that I'm capable of doing X, Y, and Z, but to a certain point, right? And I think that's what also makes it so hard with things like social media nowadays, whether from an aesthetic perspective or literally an in the gym performance perspective. We see people doing things, and it's not that we're not happy for them, but it's that we feel like that will never be me, or I could never do that. And so now actually doing something that is so physical that you possibly thought you could never do is just like, wow, it is so cool. So
yeah.
So from there, how did you end up training women and being in like those sort of women's fitness space versus other populations?
yeah.
This is the question I've got. It is the number one question I've been asked since I've started training online.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it'll be the number one in the future. And I didn't realize how, I'm going to say, controversial it could have potentially been. Like, when I made the business, I just like, I'll explain why I got there. And then it's been interesting, because I've had many different responses, from like, this is totally fine, to this is suspicious and I don't like you.
Yes.
For me, again, like my place came from like low self-esteem, low confidence, and then using strength to build that up and build up who I am as a person now. The reason I worked with women is that when I worked at a commercial gym, I noticed a very similar journey, that they came in unsure of what like afraid to go over 10-pound dumbbells, afraid of lifting too heavy, or if they could lift heavy, often undermining how strong they could become. And what I noticed is that the women that I worked with who wanted to get stronger loved training, made them feel great, made them feel confident about themselves, not because it gave them a certain look, but because of like what their body could do. And so I resonated a lot with the story of the women that I worked with. And so when I made my business, I was like, who is the people that I can help the best? And in my past experience, that was women in strength training.
Yeah.
So that was kind of how I got there. I did not realize at the time that this was a unique take, and that it would be again, like and I think it's a small minority of people. I try not to give them too much attention, but there's kind of a small subset of people who find it too suspicious.
Yeah, mean people live on the
And
internet for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
and I've had people, yeah, and like I think for most people it's not that weird. I would even say in the in-person space, like outside of online, this is very, very normal
Yes.
in healthcare
Yeah,
professions
absolutely.
across, I'll use my wife as an example, who's an emergency room nurse. So she sees a variety of people. And I just can't imagine a world where like a middle-aged man with heart issues comes in and she's like, well, I don't have his lived experience. So how could I possibly help him? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's just
yeah.
a weird thing to do outside of like the online space.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a loud, small minority of people who don't like it. And I've kind of accepted that, you know what, I'm not going to help those people. They'll find someone else to help them. And I'll help out the people who see value in my help. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually have a question then, kind of off the cuff with what you just said. Have you ever started working with a female who did wind up, maybe parting ways because she felt like, she did want somebody who could emotionally connect to the struggles of a female?
Not people I've worked with.
Okay.
No. Because I would say like through the process of working together, they've realized that like, oh yeah, he can help me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's not one of those. So like actually those are the people who, even if they had doubts before, 3 to 6 months later, they're stronger, they feel better with training, it's going well.
Yeah.
And so that kind of removes the concern.
Yes.
And I've had enough experience working with women and done enough research that I feel, even though I don't have the lived experience, that I'm like, I know how to train this. Like I feel confident that like I don't need the lived experience to help out. And I've, hundreds of women I've helped out at this point online.
Yeah.
And what you said there is
yeah.
like you've done the research. It's similar. I have a pre and postnatal, especially. I don't have children. So there is something to be said for that. Like,
Yes.
like you said, this is a population that I understand what they're going through because I've felt that myself. But at the same time, having that neutrality and going, I'm going to actually do the research here, and I'm not letting my bias color the need, I think can actually be a really beneficial thing, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that there's something to be said sometimes for feeling too much.
Yes,
I think
exactly.
that we can almost feel our way into any excuse, to be honest with you, right? And sometimes even what I have found, Nell, maybe you found this as well, specifically because we are women, it's like sometimes the clients that we work with will expect us to understand more because we are also women. And it's like, yes, I do, but there's a level of accountability that is still required here where we don't necessarily use our predicament or our situations or whatever it is to justify why we're not doing what it is that needs to be done.
Exactly.
Which is absolutely where I would agree with you, Mark. You don't need to, have boobs, in order to understand what some of your female clients are going through.
I think like I agree with everything you guys are saying as well. I think on top of that, and maybe this is a controversial take online, is that like lived experience is not what makes good trainers. That like actually good trainers are able to work with people who aren't them. Like I would say
absolutely.
That if you're like, well, I know how to work with you because of my experience, the women's training journey is not universal.
Yeah, just because I've done one thing doesn't mean it's going to be effective for you.
That it would move. And so like, if anything, if someone's like, well, to me, that's almost a red flag that if you're like, oh, this person better be exactly my age and situation. Right. And then otherwise, how can I possibly help them?
For sure.
Is like personal training is always going to be helping. I work with people. My youngest client ever was 8. My oldest was 91.
It's amazing.
Different situations and did I relate to the lived experience of 91-year-old Frances? No, but I knew enough about training in her situation to still be able to help her with her goals. Sure. So I, in my opinion, like if you're using lived experience as your education, I often see that as a red flag in coaches.
Right. Truly, all coaches should be continuing to educate themselves in the field that they're working in.
Yeah. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do definitely agree to a point. I will say I disagree somewhat here because I think that there's a huge mental aspect that comes along with any type of, but again, it depends because we keep talking about training. And I would say there's a difference between training and the fitness journey as a whole. Whereas, it is pretty hard to relate to somebody who can't stop binge eating if you've never been a binge eater. And
True.
you could read as many books or textbooks as you want, but there's a personal element there that I think misses for a lot of coaches, and that's why they're not able to help certain situations because they don't understand. From a logical perspective, you can understand this is what we're going to do, but from an emotional perspective, if you've never been on the other end of sitting on the floor after eating an entire tub of ice cream and a box of cereal, there's a missing piece there. So I do definitely agree. I think that as coaches, and even honestly as athletes and clients, we shouldn't necessarily be only going to people that look or feel or have similar experiences like us. But if your journey is something that is very like mentally and emotionally charged, then I do think that there needs to be some real relatability outside of just I'm very book smart here and I can walk you through any problem.
But that really ties into like there are an assortment of coaches out there offering an assortment of things, and you can
Yes,
find one that's going to provide guidance in whatever you're trying to achieve, right?
absolutely. Yeah. And that's why diversity is so incredibly important. So, speaking of your training style, Mark, and kind of like, what you specifically, well, you know what, actually, while we're kind of on the topic of how we view this journey as a whole, you kind of mentioned it again at the beginning, right? Being more of a body neutral. And I think for some people, they are kind of confused on what the definitions are because there's a lot of definitions nowadays. Let's be honest, right? We've got,
Yeah,
of
for
course,
sure.
self-love with every single goal. But we've got, healthy at every size. We've got the body positivity movement, body neutrality. I'm sure I'm leaving a bunch out, but in your opinion, your experience here, can you tell us a little bit more about like what being body neutral actually looks like or feels like?
Yeah, like what that definition that you use is.
Yeah, I agree with the labels. I think what also makes it tough is that people will use the same term in different ways as well. So it's not even that there's multiple labels. It's that like if someone says they're a body positivity advocate, like there's probably 10 different ways that they actually mean that. You know what I mean? So it's not. So body neutral to me, especially in the training space, is like I can't make you always love your body. I think that's unrealistic. And there's just going to be days where you like how you look and don't like how you look.
For sure.
The idea is let's build your confidence through something else. That instead of it being like, how does this make me look? Now we're going to shift the focus on like what your body can do, what it gives you. We're changing the place from, do I have the right look to like, what else does my body give me? And that's how I would describe body neutral. And so when I'm working with people that I'm working with, they are often talking like, it's like, oh, cool. Like you can grab all your groceries at once now, or now you can pick up your kid with ease, or now things that were hard are now easy. Like that's the way that we talk about body neutral. And so when I talk about it, I'm really just saying like, we're not really going to focus on if you have the right look, because what the right look is often changes. Like the look of the 90s is not the look of 2025.
Yeah.
It's going to change again in the future.
Yeah.
How your body changes with training is also not like people we lift weights and then our body changes, and how it changes is just genetically. Like
Yeah,
just like
we're
even
all
with like
upper body, no booties.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like it's going to like I like the joke is that like you do squats to get a big ass and then you just get huge quads instead, and like
Yeah.
and some people do, and it's just those are things that are out of my
That's so true.
control, and I can't really guarantee you that look,
Yeah,
or
right,
if like
of
it is
course.
you, but I can make you confident in other things about your body other than
Yes.
what it looks like. And so when we say body neutral, that's kind of what I'm referring to.
Yeah. It is incredible when you think about it, actually. As you're talking, I kept thinking to myself how, yes, if you were to, like, I bet you if we went to some busy street, I was gonna say Toronto, but fine, you're both in Alberta, so Calgary. And we literally just asked people like, what are the first things you think of when you think of your body? A lot of people would probably say things based off aesthetics. Oh, my shoulders, or, you know, yeah, my glutes, or I love my quads. We tend to forget to be able to say, I'm so proud of the fact that, like, you know, I can walk 10,000 steps and not be winded or not be sore the next day. Or, yeah, I, like, you know, squatted without any pain, or whatever it is. There's so many other aspects to our actual physical being that have nothing to do with our physical attributes, but we tend to solely focus on that and let it define our worth. And it's when you start to think about things in a different light in that way, I think absolutely there's a new level of self-appreciation that, or just body appreciation, that comes from all of those things.
Yeah, because I'll often talk about like the number of people are chasing, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's usually a smaller number on the scale or in their clothing size. I'm like, yeah, but did you do 30 flights of stairs this week and feel good? You know,
Yeah. And
right? There are other numbers out there that you could be looking at that have nothing to do with that physical aesthetic, I guess you'd call it.
for sure.
Yeah.
And what you said, Mark, in regards to, you know, early on, you said it's about accepting your body, you know, not really having these like good days and bad days, which again, a lot of us associate with.
We're going to have those too, right?
Yeah, what our bodies look like. I remember when I first learned about this, actually, it really blew my mind, because I thought that body neutrality was actually body positivity. And I realized that those are two very different things. And neutrality literally means accepting your body, you know, in all phases, all stages of life, whether you think like, oh, yeah, I love this outfit on me today, or you're like, you know what, I am kind of bloated today, but you're just like, meh, you know, like you just accept your body as it is and you go on and you're like, it's just another day. It's not actually finding yourself beautiful all the time that brings about the feelings of confidence and true acceptance. It's
it's unrealistic, honestly. Like, even like the best looking people will still have days where they
Totally.
don't feel great about how they look, and body image is so much more than what your body looks like. And I would say it's just like out of the control of me as a trainer to fix that.
Yeah.
You know, like there's so much, and I just can't guarantee you that you'll be positive about your body all the time. All I can really do is like, well, let's give you something else to build confidence from, other than, do I have the right look?
Yes.
So I think, and often for a lot of people's fitness journey, it really is based on like, okay, here's my problem areas that I need to fix.
Totally.
Like, I don't have a big enough ass, I'm too big, I don't have curves, like whatever it might be, you know?
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Yeah.
That's like that's a rough way to look at training. The people I work with get to go in training and they get to lift heavy things and feel cool about it and get to do things that it's so much more fulfilling.
Totally.
As part of the training. And yeah, the body positivity stuff, I think we could talk about it too, where a lot of people talk about body positivity as like always your body being positive, but then there's like the movement, which is like its own thing, right? Which is like often very intersectional, and it is very like, I would say, leans into plus size people more than anybody else, like even and like that's like a whole other space, and it's more political in my opinion, whereas like my style of training doesn't have like a political bend to it in my opinion. Like, I just want you to be happy with your strength and confidence. Totally. And whether that's in a smaller body, larger body, because body image issues affect a variety of people. Totally. And in my opinion, we could all benefit from maybe caring a little bit less about what we look like and more about who we are and like what our body can do. So
Absolutely.
So do you find, because that's how you present training to your clients, do you find that there's a moment where you see that in them, where you see them like achieve something like a heavy lift or something, where that messaging clicks for them?
Yeah.
I think the messaging really clicks when they lift a weight they were never expecting to. Yes. So that can often be like deadlifting their body weight for the first time is a pretty big beginner goal, where they're like, oh, like I did this really cool thing I never thought I would do in my life. Lifting, their quote is like boy weights, where like they're picking up the heavier stuff, and like now they're, they were dumbbell rowing 10s and they never thought they would get past 20, and now they're doing 40 pounds for reps, and it feels easier than they expected. I think another clicking moment is definitely in life where like I'm working with a mom who has a kid, picking up the kid was always kind of a struggle. And then one day they just do it effortlessly. And they're like, oh, like this used to be hard.
Yeah.
Like this, now it's like, I didn't even like think about it. I just picked it. Like I didn't struggle at all. And so I think those are the moments where they're like, well, like this training is allowing me to do really cool things that I never expected to do in my life. Like I never thought I would be a strong person. I always kind of thought I would be on the weaker side and kind of accepted that. And so you kind of prove people wrong in a really positive way.
Absolutely.
And those are kind of the moments that I see where people are like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
I think that's
I think one thing that's really cool is as you're talking, one thing I keep thinking about is this idea of this type of training, this type of fitness, it is totally taking control of yourself. Because as you said, right, like putting yourself in this position where you're like, oh, I just really want my glutes to be bigger. It's like, let's be honest, there are people that could eat more because that's part of the equation, do all the hip thrust variations in the world and still never get glutes that like, live up to their expectations because yeah, it's me too. But no, honestly, it never live up to their expectations because your genetics are largely out of your control.
True.
Even the ability for us to add muscle tissue, how long that takes is out of our control, unless of course we're talking about, involving anabolics. And even then it's still out of your control.
And then even then that's genetic, like how well they work is genetic.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like that's
Absolutely. Whereas here you can literally say, I am, yes, in control of how much weight that I'm, moving, of course, within a certain degree. But the idea is you're working on it actively. And then it's something, as you said, that you're seeing in your everyday life and kind of come through in this really empowering way. I'm curious, do you notice a difference in people maybe switching from being very aesthetic goal driven to more body neutrality, empowerment with what they're actually able to do and perform at a certain age? Like, do you notice, like, do your clients tend to fall in a certain age category?
They do tend to fall in a certain age category. I would say I end up working with a lot of the 35 to 55 group.
The wisdom.
I mean, that's pretty much our demographic too.
Yeah. It's for younger people, the idea of like, well, let's focus on health or something like that. It's like, but I already have that.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like you're 22, you feel great already. All the training you do feels good and you're getting, it doesn't like, I think my story doesn't resonate with that group. So, but what does is the group who's like, they're 35, 45, they're older. They still care about how they look, but they realize it's not everything.
Banks telling us, a 5'11" girl at 115 pounds is overweight.
Yes.
No, like their own issues as well. But then like, at least you're at the point now where you're like, you know what, like I have other things that matter.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also I'm over going to the gym to constantly try and become smaller.
Yes.
Because often I'm working with people who are 10, 20, 30 years into this journey. And then they've never heard of someone like me. And they're like, this is awesome.
Yes.
Wait, this was an option?
Yeah.
I thought you go to the gym to burn calories. And that's like the only reason you're there.
For sure.
It definitely leans, I would say 35 to 55 tends to be 90% of the people that I work with. And what's cool with that group as well is that you can still get stronger.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing I want to mention as well is that like strength is not a young person's game. I've had people start in their 50s. Like now they can do pull-ups, they can deadlift 200 pounds. Like their life becomes better, which I think is also really important.
Truly, yeah.
Like they have
my 30th birthday was kind of a turning point where I was like, I am going to learn to love this now.
Yes.
Yeah. It's such a huge like life changer. And so you appreciate, and you can appreciate the non-scale victories a lot more at that age, where sometimes when I'm working with someone who's, well, this is in the past, but like if they're 24, yeah, health and strength is cool, but like, do I look fit is like almost, if it's a test, like 80% of the test is like, do I look fit? For not everybody, but like for the 24-year-old, whereas like as I work, people get older, they kind of realize there's like more things to life than being skinny.
Other things in our life, so we can appreciate when they're improving.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, absolutely. It's so true. I was very curious there because I think it's that mindset of like, oh, it will never happen to me. Like I think back to when I was 22, 25, and you fall into that mindset of like, I'm gonna be young forever, I'm never going to leave this phase, and then you do, and you know, I mean, God forbid, but some people get injured or whatever it is, or you just become a parent, or you just get older and you realize, I don't want to keep myself trapped in this mentality of always working out to like be smaller or earn my food. You know, using the air quotes there for anyone not watching. And it is really cool to kind of be in this phase of life. I think we're all in this phase of life,
Yeah.
right? And it's so much more rewarding and it's so much more freeing.
I was just going to say, like, leading into that, you talked about like seeing them achieve their goals as they're training with you. Do you do goal setting with
Yeah.
them
What's
in
your
terms
goals
of
look
like what kind of goals? Because it's not like, you know, lose X amount by this date at, you know, 0.5 pound per week.
Yeah.
Like, what sort of
Everybody
goal
needs
setting
those
does that
meals.
look like for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I think it's also really important. I think one of the mistakes I see often in the weight neutral space is they're like anti-weight loss, anti-weight loss, anti-weight loss. Okay, cool. You're like removing that motivation from them, but then you don't train at all because now you have no reason to go to the gym. And I've seen that like many times where they were the 6 days a week for 2 hours gym goer, and then they became more weight neutral, body positivity, whatever. And then they don't train at
They
all.
tip
And
that
that's
scale too
bad
far in
too.
the other
Yeah.
Like
direction.
we still want, like, so we have to create new reasons to be in the gym. Otherwise they're just not going to go.
Yeah.
For me, a lot of the people I work with, they want to be able to lift a heavy thing, just for themselves, even like just to like, oh, that would be super cool if I could do that. And so, like, if I'm working with a new beginner, a common one is like deadlifting your body weight or like deadlifting 200 pounds. And like, that's a goal that we can usually accomplish in like 3 to 6 months, something like that. I would say they want to see the strength show up in their life. So it's not just about like, cool, I can deadlift a lot of weight. It's also like, I want things in my life to be noticeably easier. Often that's going for hikes, spending time with their kids. Like there's someone I work with who likes going skiing with their grandchildren. And so like she wants to be strong enough in her body to do that. So it's really a combination. I would say it's almost always some level of strength focus. But it can either be a strength goal in the gym, like getting your first pull up, or it can be something like I want something in my life right now is hard that I want to do, and I want the training to make that easier. So like it's strength in and out of the gym, I would say is what I like replacing it with, because I think strength goals give a lot of what weight loss goals promise
Yes.
as well, where like you want to be confident, you want to be fulfilled, you want to feel like your body is working for you. And I think aesthetic goals promise that and don't always deliver, and strength goals can often fill that void.
Yeah.
So that's why my version of weight neutral training is replacing weight loss aesthetics focus with strength. One thing I want to add as well that I think often gets lost in the messaging is I am not shaming people for having weight loss aesthetics goals. I think sometimes that comes across as that. I understand why they have that focus, and I think that's totally valid. And the people that I work with will still often care about their aesthetics. I'm just hoping to show a new type of training and kind of explain how I got there. But I'm not one of those, I've seen it online or people are
Yeah,
like,
we were actually talking about this just as we are going over what questions we'd want to ask, is that, there are some trainers out there that, if you're interested in weighing yourself or something like that, then they're not the coach for you.
The thing I hate online that I sometimes see in the weight neutral space is like someone will lose weight and they almost get shamed for it.
Yeah.
There's a couple influencers I've seen online who they're body positive. They actually lost some weight for various reasons. And then they actually kind of get shamed by their own community.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not for that, to be clear. I'm against that. I think it's counterproductive at best and just makes us virtue signaling bullies at worst.
Yeah.
And so that's for people who have weight loss aesthetic goals. You should still pick the goal you think is best, but I'm just hoping to bring another perspective that you can consider.
Yeah.
And I think this is huge because when I first started training, I was in a much bigger body, and my health improved as I lost weight, but there was still this moment of like, I had to have the confidence to start the process. And if there had been someone that was out there saying like, I support you in this body and I'm going to teach you how to move in it and be proud of those things, I probably would have taken a much different path.
Yeah.
I think especially for the shaming of people in larger bodies to get into fitness, like,
Yes.
just doesn't work. Like, it just doesn't. It makes it way harder to
You start from
start.
a
You feel
negative
like you don't
place.
belong.
Yeah.
You start from a negative place. It doesn't work long term, and it just makes you feel like you don't belong in the fitness space. Like, I'm sure you guys have heard, oh, let me lose the weight first and then I'll go train. Like,
Yeah.
I've heard that a few times, and like, the more accepting we are of different types of people, the more people we can get to exercise in the first
Absolutely.
place.
Yeah.
But if they feel like the gym is an exclusive club for like the fit, good looking people, and they feel like they don't belong there, then they're just never gonna go.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and they don't get started, they don't get stronger, healthier, all that kind of stuff. So we need to kind of work on that, at least in the online space.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. We're very all or nothing still as a society, even from a weight loss perspective, right? People feel like in order to lose weight, you have to first like not be pleased with your body, right? It's got to be like, I'm either losing weight because I don't like my body, or I like my body, and so I'm not going to do anything for it at all, because why do I need to change it if I already like it? And so this is where I think what you do, Mark, is fantastic, because yes, you can be totally happy with your body and still move it from a place of, look at all this cool shit I can do.
Yeah. And that's kind of why I brought up my own thing. I didn't dislike myself.
Yeah.
I didn't feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was the difference for me, right?
Yeah. And even like for me, so again, like starting off in a bigger body, I didn't like myself. But what's interesting with my journey is that I did lose 50 pounds. And guess what? I still didn't like myself. And so that's a big thing that I think a lot of people do forget. When you said lifting fills a void that is often present, whether or it fills a void that we hope weight loss or fat loss or aesthetics will fulfill. It is absolutely true. No matter what your goal is, if you hate yourself on the way down, you're going to hate yourself when you get there. So it is really, really empowering. I just had one other question for you from a nutritional standpoint, because we've talked a lot about, training here. Do you take an approach with people that is still calorie counting, or is it more just teaching them how to fuel their body for their lifts? Or like, what would, nutrition focus be when working with somebody like yourself?
Yeah. So I would say most people come to me for the training exclusively, but if they have like nutrition questions, most of the time we're not doing calorie counting.
Yeah.
And sometimes I work with people who like, that is not a great choice for them for various reasons, whether it's like past eating disordered history or like it just doesn't. And because we're not trying to shift the weight.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, if you're working with a lot of beginners, if they're eating decently good and they're training, they're going to see benefits, and the nutrition stuff will help for sure. But I only want to give them so many things to start off with, because if I'm starting with a totally new person, and it's like, okay, you got to do this training with like these exercises, and you're going from 0 to 4 days a week, and we're going to like add nutrition on top of that. It can just be a lot for the new person. So at the beginner level, I tend to be like, listen, like eat before, try not to have something too heavy. Don't try to make it like too complicated on that. Like maybe, increase your protein, but even that is like, just, you don't have to count it, just like add more good protein sources, and we can talk about what that is. And like, that tends to be good enough. And then for intermediate type lifters, we might dive deeper into that on what that looks like. Or, are you not seeing results because protein and carbs is low, or because you're not drinking enough water, or you're eating, but not really any time close to when you're training, all that kind of stuff. We can definitely talk about that. But most of the people I work with, I would say, are in the beginner to low intermediate phase for the most part. And for them, just training with a good program that makes sense with their life is like 90% of the battle. And then, honestly, the diet is super insane, and it's just like junk food from top to bottom. But otherwise, it's like tends to be fine. Yeah.
I've worked with people like that. One of our goals was not have 16 Dr. Peppers a day. That was our first goal. We cut it back
16.
slowly and thoroughly until we were down to, 1 or 2 a day. And that was really like, that's where we started, ground zero.
That's wild.
That's a lot. It's just a lot of liquid.
I was just thinking,
that's just like,
does Dr. Pepper is that one of those pops with caffeine? Because that would be like more caffeine than most coffee drinkers.
I actually have no idea. I'd have to look.
That's
It's just
crazy.
the full, like you make the thing of coffee. It's like all of that.
Yeah.
Just every day.
every day.
Cause I think Dr. Peppy, that's a lot. Is that caffeine? I'll look this up.
Yeah,
That's a
honestly,
lot.
that is a lot.
So while you're looking that up, do you ever like coach nutrition from like a performance standpoint
Mhm.
with maybe some of your more advanced athletes or clients?
I've done it. I would say it's not normally the reason people reach me. I'm definitely comfortable doing that. Like I have a nutrition degree. I've done nutrition counseling before. So I'm happy to have that conversation, but I've kind of created a niche for myself online where most people come to me for the fitness stuff.
Fair.
And so it's, we can really talk about it, but it's not normally like a super structured, like, here's your macros, here's your, like, what it looks like kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say like most of my training program is just training.
Cool. Awesome. Well, we kind of have this ongoing debate between Nell and I, and we decided that as we get into hosting people on the pod, we want to end our podcast by asking them this very out of, whatever left field question. But do you want to actually ask it, Nell?
Our go-to, yes. If you could only have one for the rest of your life, would you choose sushi or cheese?
Sushi or tough ones. Cheese is on a lot of stuff.
Well, and keep
I'm
in
gonna
mind,
say,
cream cheese falls into the cheese category, so
Yeah.
your
can I have
sushi
it
is
with
limited.
other things, or is it just cheese? Like,
you
am
can
I
have
just
other
having
things,
blocks of cheese?
absolutely.
Like, okay, so it's cheese, and that's not like just blocks of
Just
cheese or my new
no.
life.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's my
Okay, because I think like if it's just cheese, then it would be. I think I have to choose cheese because it's in so many things.
Wow.
that's one for cheese.
Sushi's
I'm
good.
keeping a score.
Yeah.
Because it's so much stuff that it would be like I'm eliminating so many things in my life.
That was my argument too.
But sushi is really good. But I think it would get old.
We get heated now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my most controversial take on the podcast.
Yeah.
I think it was the cheese. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going with cheese. I think that's the right. Yeah,
Boo.
sorry.
It's because you guys are from Alberta. No offense.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
We're a landlocked
you guys
province.
have
We're like, no, we
The
don't need
cheese
sushi.
said is Alberta. The cheese.
Yeah. Like I feel like,
It's like Wisconsin or whatever.
yeah, you guys are just
Yeah.
like dairy farms everywhere. So you
I
you have
mean-
to pick cheese.
Cheese
Sushi.
and
I
beef.
would miss sushi though. It would be a tough. That would be a tough life.
Yeah, like I do love all sushi.
Sushi is the best,
Sushi
man.
is.
Sushi is the best. That's all I'm
So-
gonna say.
I just feel like no pizza though. No pasta. Like what's the?
But see, I find that like pasta, like when I have pasta, I have like pesto or I do like pasta alla vongole, so it's like olive oil based.
Yeah, and then you
with,
grate
like,
Parmesan on top.
Yeah, but like it doesn't have that much flavor to it. Like it's the garlic and onion and everything
We
else.
at Olive Garden, would you like some Parmesan? Yes. Let us know when you're done.
Okay, first of all, Olive Garden is trash. So the fact that you even just
The
read
one time I've eaten at Olive Garden.
entire food opinion.
Yeah. The one challenge for me though is unfortunately my wife is lactose intolerant. So if I chose cheese, then I would have to. So I would almost have to like reluctantly choose sushi just for like
Her
the
bad
sake of our
love.
marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the
love.
sake of our yeah. So that would be because we don't eat a lot of cheese now for that reason. But I get really excited when like I'm out to eat and for whatever reason she's not there. She was busy or at work
You're
or
like,
something.
I get
And I'm like,
cheese.
I'm grabbing pizza and this is the moment. This is
That's
then I get-
hilarious. Poor girl.
So
No
that
ice
would
cream,
be-
nothing.
she messes it
Yeah.
for
It's a tough
sure.
life,
It's
yeah.
like it was like a gradual thing too, and it was like so you loved it as a kid, and then as you get older, it just became
It does
and
not
it's
love you.
taken away
It
from
hurts
you,
you,
and
yeah.
it devastating. Yeah, I mean, what my theory is my hot take. I think lactose intolerant people like cheese more than anyone.
It's
And
true.
is
It's like
that because-
forbidden fruit.
I would. Yep.
Is that like if you're allergic to strawberries, you'll just be like, okay, I just won't have it because I can't have that anymore. But lactose intolerant people are like, no, I'm gonna gamble.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if this work. You know what I mean? Like they're
Always. They're
They'll
always.
It's like a
for it, and- yeah.
questionable allergy. You're like, I might be fine this time.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, you just go for it anyways, like despite the consequences. Like that's love. All right. Like that's the
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
Where they have like their spot where they're like, yeah, I'm lactose intolerant until I go to this place.
Not Olive
Yeah.
Garden, though, apparently.
No, Olive Garden
Not
is
really
trash.
better. We're just trash. We're just
That's awesome.
Guys, I've been to Olive Garden like one time.
Lies. The fact
So,
that
was
you
it-
referenced Olive Garden, I don't believe you.
Twice,
you're
actually.
go. Already the lie is coming out.
Yeah.
All right?
Once
It's like-
once was in New York City, and I was in between Broadway shows, so I had to fit something in.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Okay,
Well,
so one thing about me is I drink a ton of coffee, and like Rusty is our cereal
no, I
girl.
wanted to ask you
So I did a deep dive on your Instagram, of course, as one does when you meet a stranger on the internet, and you do coffee chats pretty consistently. Do you limit that to like 1 cup of coffee a day, or is that like number 6 for you? Like,
Mel's trying to make herself feel better because of her
It's
coffee
true.
consumption.
I have to, you guys put me on
So-
blast.
I need to limit to 2 a day. I find that the third one doesn't make me less tired.
Mhm.
Like it's just at that point I've hit my caffeine limit, and then
Yeah.
it's just all cons.
Yep.
I do love coffee though, so sometimes I will switch to decaf for the third cup,
Okay.
just because I just like having it like here. Like I
Yes,
just like
that's me.
having it. Yeah, you'd say now I'm like 2.
Okay.
When I worked at a restaurant, it got real bad. Like it was like heart's feeling kind of weird bad.
Oh, wow.
Because you just sip it throughout the day and you just don't realize how many cups of
had?
coffee
Oh
you've had.
gosh, yeah.
And then I'm sure I hit like cup 6 without realizing it. And
Wow. Oh my
it was
gosh.
that was, and then you're doing like you just don't notice though, because you're like you run around, you come back, take a sip,
And
go
then
do
it's when
something
you hold
else,
still,
come
and you're
back.
like, I don't feel good.
And then you yeah, you just break, you're like, oh, I need to
Drink some more
like,
coffee.
drink some more. Yeah, resolutions always more cups. Yeah, no, I'm 2 a day, maybe a third decaf coffee is where I'm at.
Respect.
And that's but it requires willpower to not have more.
Stop. There's not something I relate to, people.
Okay, you and your cereal.
That
So then what's your
What's-
favorite cereal? I don't think
yes,
you
I
can
know.
leave
I
without
was
telling us
thinking
that.
one. Do you eat cereal, Mark?
I'm so boring. I think my cereal, like I do have cereal. I really like just like Cheerios or mini wheats.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I
Solid.
don't get into like the Lucky Charms, Reese Puff. Reese Puffs to me is too much of a dessert.
Yeah.
And I just like feel odd
Eating
having it as like a
bowl of
breakfast
sugar.
choice. Like I just feel like it's like it's good, it's delicious, but I feel like I would have it like almost like as the end of day snack
Yeah.
more than like
I think
let's
that's
start
the
off
best
with
time
like
to eat cereal.
The end of the day.
I agree.
Yeah.
I also
I don't
feel
like cereal for breakfast. I'll eat cereal at other times of the day.
Mm,
I think it's better that way. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I
Mark's
think
my kinda guy.
I don't know. You guys go start your own podcast. I don't care.
I'm not
cereal
abandoning
with-
you.
It's like, yeah, I think it's what was I gonna say? Cereal's great. Protein cereal's gotten a lot better.
I
than it
know.
used
They're
to
still
be.
kind of like very
Uh,
hit or miss, though.
I don't know. I think that's with a lot of protein foods, honestly,
Yeah,
is that
it
a lot
really
of them
is.
are like some of great. Like they like 5 years ago, protein foods were disgusting. Like anyone who thought like those were the same, I'm like, you're lying to yourself for the sake of fitness. Like it was like now we're finally getting protein foods that like, okay, like this is actually respectable. Like I could have this as a snack and enjoy it.
Yep. Yep.
In the past, it was like everyone's lying to themselves that this is like taste the same. Like you know what I
Honestly.
mean? Like all the like it was
There's some
thank
good
God
ones.
for that's improved.
I know. There were definitely some brutal ones, but mini wheats is a solid choice. I think mini wheats is one of the best cereals, and it's so good dry if you get the frosted ones. So no complaint.
I usually have cereal dry. I don't know if that's a controversial take.
That is for
Not
me.
with milk. Yeah.
So you'll just
So,
eat like
then it's-
plain Cheerios, just dry.
Yeah. And then it gets soggy either, so you can like take your time. It's like, it's like, and then like if you have it with milk or something, it gets soggy and then it gets
See,
bad. I don't
I love soggy cereal. I love it when my cereal gets soggy because have it with milk, so it infuses the milk. So it's like a must for me, but that's fine. That's fine.
Well, so we finished here on a high note instead of
never
a heated
invited again to the
debate.
podcast.
Yeah, that's the last 15 minutes.
What is like one way you monitor progress with your clients?
So what I love about strength actually compared to aesthetics is it's a lot easier to tell that you're improving, whereas aesthetics focus is like, do you look better is often like kind of subjective. It's like, are you more toned, especially with photos where like you can just get better at posing, and then you just look better. Like you see this with bodybuilders all the
Like
time,
me
where
with
like
my ring light.
Yeah,
like that's you got the angle perfect, and like you just like put it. Yeah. So with instant strength is that you can just kind of look at the program where it's like, okay, week 1 we were dumbbell rowing 10s, and now we're week 6 and we're dumbbell rowing 40s. Like, and what's nice about that is it doesn't rely on me to convince you you're getting better. Like you can look at the program yourself and be like, oh,
Yeah.
like I'm like objectively stronger than when I started. So for me, measuring progress is actually like pretty simple, and actually like as you're going through the program, you're kind of proving it to yourself. So I would say like being able to lift more weight is the easiest one. And I would just say like, again, like outside of the gym, just things that were hard are no longer hard.
Yeah.
Like that. And like, so like, I really like strength for that, because again, aesthetics is like, are you more toned than you were before? Like maybe this was built up, but now you've kind of lost this, or am I actually moving towards the right look? And social media has told me, well, actually the new look is the thing you aren't working on,
Yes,
like it's
yes.
kind of like, like big asses can be the thing now, but they haven't always been. They weren't in the 90s. They weren't in the 70s. You know what I mean? Like it's like that is and then imagine you spent 10, 15 years working on having a big butt, and then 2030 hits around and is like, actually, we're going to back to the 1990s. You got to be 85 pounds in a size XXX small look.
Yeah.
And so like, which I'm not recommending, but it's I feel like aesthetics can often be like a moving target, whereas strength training is like weights are weights. They've always been weights, and in the future it's so measuring progress is usually pretty objective and easy to see.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's a way to see progress, but in like the seeing is very different than what we're normally used to, which is
We're not picking ourselves apart. We're seeing a bigger weight in your hand.
Yeah, or carrying all the groceries in at once.
Yeah.
Picking your kids up. It is actively something that you're seeing in your without a mirror, basically.
Without a mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like life changing, and again, building confidence, not from like what your body looks like, but like now you moved on to the heavier dumbbell rack, right? You're using the section with the small weights, and you've moved up to like the next level of weights. And like, that's cool too, right?
So badass. Yeah. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for coming on our pod and being our first official guest. Let everybody know, where they can find you. Drop your social media channel. We'll put it in the notes as well, everybody, but go ahead.
Oh, I'm so flattered. I didn't realize I was the first guest. I'm so flattered now. That's awesome. So best places to find me are Instagram at Training Strong Women, TikTok as well. And then I have my own podcast called the Badass Lifter Podcast, where I really focus on helping people become strong lifters without the focus on weight loss or aesthetics. So a lot of the information is like, what does that look like? Like, again, like a lot of the questions you guys answered, I had full podcast episodes on.
Cool.
Other places too, usually on Threads to debunk misinformation, but that's kind of like a side place for me at this point.
Yeah,
like a fun hobby. Instagram and the podcast are probably the best two places to find me.
Now, I will say I checked out your podcast before this episode, and I would actually recommend people watch your podcast because it's very almost like classroom setup. Like you can really sit down and learn a specific thing. Would you say that that's an accurate description or no?
I have episodes like that like really go into a deep dive. I would say some episodes are like that. Like I talked about the difference between training for muscle versus training for strength. And I literally did it like presentation style on YouTube.
Cool.
Like full, like
research, like, the first one I looked up.
Straight up professor. I had an episode on Ozempic where I like really went into the research and kind of talked about like what this is like, and also talked about how it will change the fitness industry.
Yeah.
And for that one, I knew it was going to be controversial, so I had a document of resources ready for that one.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a mix. Some of it's just me talking. Some of it's very like, professor style of learning. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. Well, Mark, thank you again. We both really, really appreciate it. We'll be sure to, again, tag your social medias in the show notes here below. And if you guys are in a position right now where you're starting to think about, what does my training look like where it's not focused on weight or aesthetics of any kind, then that's definitely something that you guys want to check out.
Yeah. So anything you want to say, leave the masses with? Any words of wisdom or any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think my hope today is just like to show a different perspective of training. I think if you still care about weight loss and aesthetics, that's totally valid. I would just consider adding some non-aesthetic goals because I think it makes the journey overall a lot better.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah, I think I'll end with that.
awesome. All right. Well, until next time, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Strong, well-fed, outspoken. We will see you guys next week.
Bye.